President Biden is celebrating the passage of a key piece of his domestic agenda after a late-night vote on Capitol Hill. The House passed the roughly $1.2 trillion infrastructure deal Friday night on a bipartisan basis. 13 Republicans voted yes, and 6 Democrats voted no. The Senate passed the bill over the summer, but it stalled in the House. Progressive Democrats waited for progress on the president's second package, which focuses on social programs and climate change. That bill has still not gotten a vote due to new Democratic disagreements. But on Saturday, the president claimed that the infrastructure bill is a win for the middle class.
And for all of you at home who feel left behind and forgotten in an economy that's changing so rapidly, this bill is for you. The vast majority of the thousands of jobs that will be created don't require a college degree. There'll be jobs in every part of the country: red states, blue states, cities, small towns, rural communities, tribal communities. This is a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America.
Joining me now to discuss this legislation is Anthony Adragna. He's a reporter for Politico covering Congress. Anthony, welcome. In addition to jobs, the president emphasized the infrastructure bill's impact on the supply chain and inflation. Tell us why he highlighted these issues in his speech, and what effect might this bill actually have on those problems?
It's certainly a victory lap for the president. He's been anxious to tout something legislatively to get something done 10 months into his administration. So I think that's what you heard from him this morning. He's speaking to the issues that are front of mind to people. We clearly saw that in the results on Tuesday in Virginia, New Jersey, the other parts of the country. So I think President Biden's trying to say, look, we hear you, we've gotten stuff done, and we're looking to address the issues that are in your heads, in your real lives, your experiences. And so I think that explains a lot of what we heard from him this morning.
So give us a few major bullet points. What's actually in this infrastructure package?
I think it's pretty remarkable. This bill has sort of been lost as Democrats have sort of squabbled amongst themselves, but it's really consequential. We've got hundreds of billions of dollars in new spending in areas from as diverse as broadband, investing in replacing lead pipes that give people water in the country. There's tens of billions of dollars to address that. Upgrades to the nation's grid infrastructure, a massive investment in passenger rail. It's really one of the biggest, if not the biggest, infrastructure packages we've seen since the 1950s. And so I think that's why it's interesting that it's sort of been lost in the shuffle here as Democrats continue to argue about this second bill. But it's really quite a consequential piece of legislation, one that in most Congresses you'd take and say, this is our capstone work.
So let's dig into that second bill. Democrats are still working on the social programs and climate change aspects of the president's larger agenda. Chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, spoke about that legislation Friday night. Let's listen.
And let me just say that when we do, it will be a phenomenal achievement for our country to say we're not leaving anybody behind. This rule vote tonight is the beginning of the delivering of that promise. It is actually codifying that promise that our colleagues have made to us tonight. And let me tell you, we're going to trust each other because the Democratic Party is together on this. We are united. That it is important.
So, Anthony, I think it's significant and worth noting that as Congresswoman Jayapal was making those remarks, next to her was Congressman Josh Gottheimer, who's a leader in the moderate wing of the Democratic Party, to the two sides really that are at odds right now. Tell us the latest about the holdup last night and where Democrats are expected to go from here.
So I think what you've heard from Democrats over the past couple of days is reiterating a position that they've been stating for quite a while now. The moderates have said they want to see that the economic math checks out here. The claim has been that the bill is fully paid for. They want to see the official nonpartisan estimates back that up before they're willing to vote for it. That was verified yesterday. They said we're not willing to vote for the bill without that full information. I think what you've seen also is this sort of mistrust between progressives and moderates. Progressives have sort of said, we're not sure you're going to actually be with us and follow through in the end on this legislation. There's also continued uncertainty, of course, in the Senate, where Senator Joe Manchin is expected to exert his will and make further changes to this legislation. So I think you're right. It's quite notable to see Representatives Gottheimer and Jayapal there together. There's been such mistrust between the various ideological factions within the Democratic Party throughout this process. So that was quite a show of force of saying, look, we recognize we have both, they think on substance they want to get it done, but also the political imperative to deliver on the bulk of President Joe Biden's agenda. And so I think that more than anything else is what's driving this train forward and what's going to lead the party to really try to get to a finished product that they can pass and then also tout to the American people.
So a big sticking point is how much this is going to cost. Tell us, what's the latest on the plan to pay for these packages? So
from Democrats, they say, at least initially, they think they have the estimates to back up that this is going to be fully paid for. They've got a bunch of different new tax structures that are going to make the wealthy pay more. There's obviously prescription drug negotiations, which was a big piece of this. They think they finally have that worked out. There's additional IRS enforcement. That's another piece of this. The exact structures are still kind of going to be ironed out here as we move forward. But I think Democrats would tell you they think they have more than enough new ways of generating the ways to pay for this legislation. That's been a key part of their argument throughout this process, and I would expect that to remain as things go forward.
All right, Anthony Adragna, thank you.
Thank you.